I would tend to agree that like there's a couple of hurdles you gotta jump with the white mama. There's some hurdles.
Your mom plays such a major part in the character that you build, and a white mom is it's a battle. I ain't saying it's bad, but it's something you gotta deal with.
Yeah, it's what I'm saying. It's a hurdle you gotta jump. Like she gotta be like exceptional. You know what I'm saying? Like for you to not come out too weird. You know, she gotta be exceptional.
Hence Drizzy Drake. That's a white mom if I've ever seen one.
He weird, you know.
The government growing babies, microchips in your anus. All koala bears are racist. The ozone layer owes me money. Martians invented turkey stuffing. Y'all can't tell me nothing.
Bang, 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 skeet, skeet, skeet. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. You already know what the fuck time it is. It's time for My Mama Told Me, the podcast where we dive deep into the pockets of black conspiracy theories, and we finally work to prove that Steph Curry is a goddamn Targaryen. Ain't nobody meant to have eyes that light unless they fought a dragon. That's just facts, ladies and gentlemen. Goddamn facts. There's no reason to dispute it. I'm your host, Langston Kerman. I'm coming in hot as always. You know, I'm coming at my boy Steph Curry and his beautiful, gorgeous light eyes. He's a goddamn weird looking guy, but I like it. I'm into what he's got going on. And goddamn it, I'm having a good day. I'm hot as shit. I shouldn't have wore this hoodie, but otherwise I'm at peace. Anyway, you didn't need that information. You can't see me. You're at home. You're listening to this weird preamble that has nothing to do with the way that I should introduce a person to you, the listener at home. But goddamn, do I have a good guest today. He's dope. He's a rapper. He's a poet. He's an author, and he has a brand new podcast. It just came out a few weeks ago. It's called Hood Politics. It's here on iHeartRadio. You're going to love him. Please give it up for my guest, Propaganda.
What's up, y'all? This is Facts, and Steph Curry is definitely a topic of our conspiracy theory today.
Oh, he touches it. He's in there.
I believe it. That man was born in a laboratory. Care what nobody say.
Sure, just mixing white blood cells with slightly darker blood cells.
That's all that is. Curry. Yeah, especially the idea that him and LeBron were born in the same hospital. I'm like, you mean hatched?
Yeah, that is weird. That somehow these two freaks of very different nature managed to exist in a singular space. That's creepy.
Very. And proof of concept.
Sure. All right. You're already touching on it. Let's jump in. You came to me with a conspiracy theory that upset me to no end.
I would imagine.
It made me mad. Furious, I'd say. You said, my mama told me.
Light-skinned people are sensitive.
This is correct.
Tell me more.
Well, so there's my anecdotal experience.
Sure.
There's my just baggage from childhood.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? and then there's the quintessential understanding of what we all like to call light-skinned eyes. And when you do the light-skinned eyes, it's proof you telling the whole world that you got feelings. And can't nobody do them unless you light-skinned. Nobody else can do the light-skinned eyes like light-skinned.
Well, okay. Let's start by explaining, because some of our listeners may not be familiar. We have some whiteys that tune in. So give the folks at home that need the information what exactly are light-skinned eyes.
Okay, so flashback to like Shy, Jodeci, just the black boy band craze of the most attractive guy in all of these things was the light-skinned dude. And he would do this thing where he would light-skinned eyes is when you would squint, but also raise your eyebrows in a way that I just don't know how physically you got your face to do that.
Sure.
But for some, and he lick your lips like LL, and it was just like, this is a cheat code. This is a cheat code that nobody else in the culture got. And it just made me feel like, okay, and you can't call them on it because they get sensitive.
Well, let's be clear. It sounds like you and your feelings a little bit about these light skinned eyes. I'm not gonna bite my tongue because you coming at my people, my community.
I told you I had baggage. Like I started off by saying I had baggage. Now it was crazy. I just finished the pod for the Straight No Chaser show, and because she deal with politics and hood shit too, right?
Right.
So she was like banging on me, like, "Yo, where you from? This and this." So like, I was trying to explain to her that like, well, I grew up on the borderlands between Black and Latino neighborhoods. So I was from the East Side of South Central. So most of my neighbors were Mexican. So if that's the case, who were they more akin to and attracted to were the light-skinned dudes. So when I fell in love with Yolanda Gonzalez, you know what I'm saying, I'm a little too dark. You feel me? Yolanda, if she was going to like a black dude, it was the light-skinned one. You know what I'm saying? So when you live in these like cross-cultural spaces, because y'all are interesting. You like, at least to everybody else, y'all black with an asterisk. Now we knew,
sure.
You know what I'm saying? We knew you was niggas like the rest of us. You know what I'm saying? But to the rest of the world, it was like, oh, he get a pass because he, you know what I'm saying? He light skinned,
Yeah, I feel like our black is like when they put those like the foam art in the coffee. You know what I mean? Like it's still coffee, but it's got a little something in there that people are like, this is exciting. It's fucking coffee, but they don't know.
Gateway
they don't
drug.
realize it.
You don't understand that. That's an espresso up under that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay, so you see Yolanda, you're like, man, I want to be with Yolanda. And Yolanda's not kicking that same energy back to you because you don't fall within her expectations of what a quote unquote handsome person is.
You know what I'm saying? Because she looking at Brandon over there, who I know Brandon just light skinned, but he looked Puerto Rican. If Brandon learned some Spanish, he could pull it off. You know what I'm saying? So he got the curly hair, you know what I mean? Maybe some freckles, you feel me? So like he could pull it off, and there was a part of my baggage that almost like, again, I'm black. My father was a Black Panther, so I loved being black. But I was in this Latino hood, so I used to think the cheat code was being Puerto Rican because you get to be both. So I was like, I wish I was Puerto Rican because then I'm like, that black different. You know what I'm saying? They got the curly hair and they speak Spanish. Like this seemed like the win. Like I said, I got baggage. You feel me?
Okay, so this baggage, and I love that. I love the idea. You're like, damn, I wish I was Puerto Rican. That'd be tight. That would solve all my problems.
That would solve all of them because I still get to be
Yolanda
black.
would go to homecoming with me if I was Puerto Rican.
Correct.
All right, so you recognize at least that like there's a difference in the way that you're being seen, the way that you're being treated. At what point does it become sensitivity in your mind? At what point are you identifying light-skinned people, I assume it's men and women, are more sensitive than their darker skinned counterparts?
Yes. Now I'm trying to keep this comedy because I'm also psychoanalyzing myself as I talk.
No, break it down, man. Okay. Sometimes this shit gets sad, and we like that too.
Yes, because I'm like, I'm clearly not in this state anymore. Like, just give this. I don't think like this anymore, y'all. Okay.
Just a quick preamble.
Yeah, just a quick preamble. I'm fine. I'm healed. They healed. I've learned my errors.
Sure.
But the idea is like, I can't roast y'all because it's like y'all get to, you feel like these people trying to prove they black. So you trying to prove you not black. So there just felt to me like there was such an overcompensation, you know what I'm saying? Which I know now is because mixed race there's no space in our culture for a mixed race. You know what I'm saying? We have no categories for this. There's definitely identity crisis that comes from a longer history of racial tension and trauma. You know what I'm saying? That when you 14, you don't know. You know what I'm saying? So so you 14 and it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why are you trying to either overcompensate with what seemed like performative hoodness? You know what I'm saying? And I can't call you on the shit just like, you sound corny. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why are you talking like this? Why are you doing all this extra shit? You know what I'm saying? And if I talk to you about it, you get super defensive. You know what I'm saying? Or the other way around, it seemed like, again, white people come around, it felt like to me, you were separating yourself from our culture and trying to up your white side. And it just felt to me like, man, you can't have it both ways, big dog. Like, you know what I'm saying? You want all the benefits of being from our culture, but not none of the pain. Because when it's time for the pain, you know what I'm saying? You went to the other lunch table. You feel me? And I was like, and I can't say nothing to you about it because you get all hurt. You feel me?
Yeah.
And like, so to me, I was like, man, y'all just sensitive. I can't talk to you about nothing. You know what I'm saying? Then getting defensive, like, you know, y'all got good hair. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever stuff like that. And like, it's not good hair. I'm black. You know, it's like, yo, but listen, can you just like, your hair is different. What you want me to say, homie? Like, you know, so.
Well, so you're speaking to, I think, a number of important things here. And there is like this constant, and I always think it's corny when mixed people go, I just don't know where I belonged. The whites, they didn't accept me. The black people, they didn't like me either. And it's sort of like, all right, dog, I don't know, be yourself. But
how about that?
Said, I think that whether fair or unfair, that feeling of not belonging does sort of prompt a lot of the reactions that we equate with like light skinned behavior, right? That like you are hella defensive about a bunch of stuff that maybe other people would be like, I don't know, move on. Yeah. Be cool, bro.
For real. That's exactly it. You know what I'm saying? And like, you just, you know, traditional definitions of beauty and just all of that now as an adult, like, I see it now. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But at the time, you just have no categories for it, you know?
Yeah, which is where I guess terms like good hair and good, like whatever qualifying like terms we have come from, right? We're not, we get older and we go, well, it's not good hair, it's just different hair. It's just a qualitative difference. But instead at the time we're like, no, one is better than the other one. And that yours is somehow better.
There's a part of you as like somebody on the darker hue like myself that feels like, hey, you know, I don't understand what's so hard about this. There's no such thing as a dark-skinned white person. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's only light-skinned black people.
Sure.
You're black. I don't understand what the problem is. You know what I'm saying? And then again, growing up in a Latino space, I'm looking across the table at like Juan Carlo Ramirez, and I'm like, you black as I am. You think that black people didn't go to Mexico? I'm like, I'm looking at your grandfather right now. I'm like, he's a black man. Oh, we're from Mexico. I'm like, you think black people ain't in Mexico? Like, but transatlantic slave trade, dog. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, Veracruz. Like, that's
some American shit, right? Like, we sort of get taught in a really shitty way that America is kind of the only place that did slavery and the only place where black people ever immigrated or were taken and brought to. So it's like, yo, if your parents aren't from, or your grandparents aren't from the South, then you have no sense of any history beyond that. Yeah. And that is blackness, to be unaware of your history. Whereas like if a motherfucker can point to where they're from, nigga, I ain't black. I'm from there. I'm
Dominican.
That's my shit.
Yeah. And it's hurtful. You know what I'm saying? Like, as from my perspective, I was like, this is really hurtful because I'm like, first of all, I mean, is there a hidden camera? Like, have you looked in the mirror? Like, my Dominican brother, I'm like, you are black.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not robbing you from your Dominican heritage. I'm just saying, like, what the hell what is the sky blue? Like, you're a black man.
Let's just talk colors real quick. And then we can get into ethnic backgrounds and, and all the other jazz that comes with that. So you're identifying these sort of light skin traits in people, the squinty eyes, the oversensitivity,
y'all sensitive, y'all R&B singers.
Sure.
Unless
the
you
different
Luther.
Hair, all of that.
Yeah.
Does that make you resent light-skinned people? Are you mad at us for our behavior? Or are you sort of recognizing that we got some shit to deal with?
I was. And it was like, I was mad, but it was like 8th grade mad. You know what I'm saying? Where you really not mad. You don't know. You're not mad at them. You're mad at America. You know what I'm saying? But you don't know you mad at America yet. You feel me?
I like that.
Yeah, you know, but you don't know yet. You know, so, you know, and now it's like, we could kid about it, you know what I'm saying? And just like the shit we doing now, all that comes with that. But like the reality is at the time, you're mad, you're jealous. You know what I'm saying? And because that type of black is being affirmed, you know, and there's nothing I can do to somehow fit that. You feel me? So for me, a part of like just even the hair you see on my head now, a part of the dreadlocks, was like a rebellion against that. Was like, okay, if I can't do this, I'm gonna go all the way the other way.
Right.
You know
I'm
what
gonna lock
saying?
my hair. I ain't never gonna squint.
I ain't
my
gonna
eyes
ever
gonna
squint.
be wide open.
Wide open. Stay woke. You know what I'm saying? He said I ain't gonna ever squint. Squint for light skin.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I do think it's such an interesting thing that I think happens in Black culture in general, right? Is that like we've been placed in a position where there are so many spots, so few spots to be celebrated, to be recognized, to be affirmed, as you put it. Yeah. And so when you're seeing the people that are sort of in a weird way able to subvert their Blackness, but then also be propped up as like the stars of the show, it has to be a super frustrating thing to be like, that's who y'all picked? This is the one that you're going to make the star of the whole game? That's crazy. Yeah,
totally. It's frustrating to me. It just really is. It just really is. And ultimately it was like, I'm hurt. I'm processing internalized racism. You processing self-hate. You don't know you are. Yeah. But all I know is I can't stand Brandon.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That at its core is really, I think, how we get to solving some of the colorism and sort of like infighting that happens in the Black community is we just got to pick the motherfuckers we don't like, as opposed to sitting around talking about like the general idea of each representative group and all that stuff. Let's just talk about Brandon. Let's keep our eyes on Brandon and what he did.
Eye on the prize.
Exactly.
Yes. And it's like, I think of like the invention of Tyrese. Oh, that like
Coca-Cola, baby,
brought us back riding on that bus. You know what I'm saying? He brought us back. And I didn't realize again till I was an adult, like why I was like, oh yeah, I needed him, in a weird, twisted sort of way. Like, damn, I really needed this dude. You know what I'm saying? As like just images of beauty. And what's crazy is this, like, so my current wife, I didn't meet her till we was, adults. Yeah. And my wife's a first gen Mexican woman. And she said she never thought about it till after she got married that like when she was in high school, she had a Tyrese calendar.
Whoa.
So she was already into Dark Brothers. I didn't know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Good
and
for
she
you.
ain't know either. So I was like,
that deserves a little air horn. Come on now.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay. Here's a question that I have that I've always been curious about. When do you think the waves happened? Right. So there are always these arguments that happen culturally where they're like, man, light-skinned dudes are out. Dark-skinned dudes are in. Dark-skinned dudes are out. Light-skinned dudes are in. Where would you mark those waves at? So you're saying Tyrese is a clear marker
I would say,
a period.
Yeah. Pre that, is when the light-skinned dudes was running the world, it was Cosby Show in a different world. The two choices that Rudy Huxtable had, she chose the lighter boy. You know what I'm saying? And then on a different world, the light-skinned nigga with the dreads, that ended up being in Janet Jackson's videos, like just this gorgeous man. You know what I'm saying? And so then Tay Diggs, you know what I'm saying? Morris Chestnut.
Oh, they had a wave.
All these brothers had this wave, you feel me? Brought us back. Omar Epps in the Inglewood movie.
The best man.
That's it.
The best man universe really let y'all live for
let us in. We let us in. And then entered Shamar Moore and Boris Kudrow. And we were done. And then that leads into like the Terrence Howards and just all this other stuff that was just like, we can't.
Yeah, I will say that at the point that they made Shamar Moore the host of Soul Train, it felt like, man, y'all really, all right, y'all got to take a break because
there's no chance. We have no chance.
In charge right now.
Yeah, and he's beautiful. Like there's no other way around that. That man is beautiful.
A goddamn weirdo, but he is
weird as hell.
Good to look at.
Yeah.
Okay, so these waves, you're recognizing where these waves exist. And then at what point do you as an adult start to stop feeling these feelings of resentment and start to like make peace with it? What happens in your life where you're like, all right, I recognize that this sensitivity that I'm seeing in light-skinned men is coming from
Yeah.
something real and not just them being like weirdos, and I'm good.
Yeah, I think it's, moving around, going off to college,
Yeah.
experiencing Africans, you know what I'm saying, and just meeting people from just other parts of the world. I think having my own sort of aesthetic affirmed, you know what I'm saying, kind of made me step back and go like, why was I so worried about what these 40 people thought about me? It's to the point to where I'm salty towards my own homie. Like I'm dragging Brandon, but Brandon was my homie. Like we're friends. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, why am I salty over him? Like Brandon ain't do nothing to me. You know what I'm saying? Like he's my friend, And then you just start, for me, it was college. You start asking yourself these questions, learning more about the world around you and how, you know what I'm saying, all this stuff kind of plays into the bigger historical narrative and what I've sort of internalized for myself, and just start asking those questions and being like, what do you mean? What is the diaspora? Like, what do you mean by that? Like, are these brothers and sisters not experiencing the same America you're experiencing? And yeah, in some ways, no, but in a lot of ways, yes, like you are undermining the cause. You know what I'm saying?
I like what you're saying. I think it sort of makes me think in a lot of ways, and I've had this feeling for a while, that I think the way that we talk about representation is wrong. That like we spend so much time being like, there's nobody that looks like me on TV. And so I don't know how to feel about myself. And it's like, yeah, maybe, but more than that, what you need to do is recognize that you are represented in other parts of the world. You're represented in a space greater than just television and like what's being propped up on the internet. And so like, until you get the chance to see that like, yo, you exist in this country, in this place, in these foreign sort of like environments, then you are always going to be seeking the next Boris Kojo or Morris Chestnut or whatever it is that makes you feel affirmed in a almost desperate kind of way.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that broader sense of the world, like you said, is like, for a young dude like me was like, man, that was invaluable. Just seeing the world bigger than where I was. And like you said, what I saw on TV, because there's like you said, there's an entire continent of dark-skinned people on TV. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, what do now you're right. Maybe we're underrepresented here, but here is not the whole world. So so that's like that's dope.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's get into some messy questions.
Okay.
Let's just be real. Who do you think is the greatest offender as a light-skinned person? Ooh. Man, woman, who's the one that really, you just see him and you like, this mother right here, I can't take it.
Oh man. I mean, obviously Stacey Dash, she's high on this list.
Sure, she's gotten lighter every year.
She gets lighter every year. Yeah. So obviously her. Man, that's a good question. Okay, let's get messy. Who was the most can't stand these light skinned?
Yeah. And it doesn't even have to be that they're bad people, just truly.
No, they're great.
Does the squinty eyes, has the energy of all the things that you despise in the light.
Oh, man. I mean, probably Uncle L, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, probably because he's like, oh, man, he's caramel, he's buff, he's just, you know what I'm saying? Just like, God damn it, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, cool as hell. He's an OG in hip hop. Like, you can't take none of his credit from him. Like, he real as it come, but just like, damn, man, like, what can
you
we
can't
do
be buffing into your 50s and
you can't still look this good, man.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
Yeah, so he up there as one of the greatest offenders. The sisters, I'm not gonna touch that at all. I ain't that messy now. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, because I'm super messy.
I ain't messing with the sisters though. But okay, well give me an example.
Well, I don't know, because nobody bothers me. I'm a big fan of every light-skinned person. We're perfect.
True.
Every single one of them. No, true. I do think the person who always comes to mind when people complain about like light-skinned behavior and all that, Drake feels like the most.
Oh my God, yes. How did I miss Drake?
Who's ever light-skinned?
Oh, how did I forget Drake? Yes. He is the example. He's it.
Yes.
It's Drake.
It's the template of like.
It's the template. Yes. And it wasn't
literally has a heart carved into his head right now.
All the rules that all of us learned through middle school that keep the way that boys police themselves to keep each other in line. I just feel like he skipped all that.
Yeah.
Because like, you don't do the layup line for like, you ain't go to this school. You're not from this state.
No connection whatsoever.
You have no connection. Why are you doing this? Like that. But it's like, and he could go, because it's a flex. And he's right, because it is.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's the most light skin. This some light skin shit.
I think my favorite part of that is he's not even good enough at basketball to justify like joining the line. Like, it's not like he was out there saucing.
You're not a hooper. Yeah, you not a hooper. Like, this not even your bag, man. Like, what? Yeah, yes. And to be totally okay with, like, because he knows it's going to sell records, to like turn himself into like a living meme because he knows it works. So you just, like, Hotline Bling video, he knew what he was doing. Like, you know what you're doing. And
he put on a comfy sweater and he said, I'm going to give the people what they've been accusing me of being this entire time.
Yes. And it worked.
Listen,
it just worked.
The man knows business, and I don't know how to deal with that. Okay, this will be my final question before we go to break. Who do you think, if Drake is the most offensive, or Uncle L, depending on the timing and perspective, who do you think is a person who's handling light skin perfectly, who truly is not falling into the stereotypes and navigating this space the way that it's meant to be navigated?
That's good. Ooh, that's good. I think of two examples. I think Klay Thompson does it well.
I love that you said that. Goddamn, he's my favorite.
He do it well. I think Kendrick Sampson, that's on Insecure. I think he handles light skin very well. You know, he's no delusion. He's like, I'm about this justice work, but this my white mama. Like, what you want me to say? That's my mom. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like he handles it. He handles light skin well.
Okay. Hell yeah. Yes. So anybody that's down to either be weird and just shoot a lot of shots and or get beat by the police is good in your book.
It's good in my book because you like, I'm being me. You know what I'm saying? I love
just in a sleeveless t-shirt. You love light-skinned men in a sleeveless t-shirt. That's what I'm discovering here.
This is the fact. I told you I'm jealous.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with more propaganda and more My Mama Told Me. And we are back.
Do you have your passport? Did you get your shots? Girl, would you like to come back with Rob to America?
Oh, God.
This is a low moment. This is a very low moment.
Yep, we're back. We're back here with propaganda. We're back here with more My Mama Told Me. We're still talking. Oh, that was a drop that was suggested to us by a listener named Claudia. Claudia told me to play that propaganda. I did not want to do that myself.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of his work. Claudia loves him dearly.
That was a low moment in black men. It was low. Yes.
I would say not a great dark-skinned man. Would you go so far as to say that?
I would agree. You are not the gladiator we're sending to the arena.
Fair enough. Okay, you mentioned, and this is something I've always been curious about, if this is now a thing that everybody knows or at least thinks about. Do you think the mixture makes a difference in light-skinned behavior? Because you mentioned Kendrick Sampson, how he has a white mom. And I'm under the belief that if the combination is weird, white moms always tend to make weirder kids than a black mom. Black mom, you tend to be all right. You're a little more chill. White mom, ooh, that motherfucker's weird. It gets messy.
There's some weirdness that comes with having a white mama, rather than rather than like a white daddy,
yes,
or a Filipino, or it's just somebody else.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think I would tend to agree with that.
Hell yeah.
I think I would tend to agree with that. I never thought about it till you just said it. But I got a homie from high school who, like, yeah, his dad was like one of the coolest dudes I ever met. And his mom was wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
But like he is actually who I'm thinking about, where I had to like learn how to process that, like, man, he's just trying to find himself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so I had to go back and like do some historical revisionism about my feelings for this boy. You know what I'm saying? Because just like, man, he ain't never do nothing to me, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like that poor boy was trying to figure it out. But yeah, he had a white mom. So it's like,
yeah, it's not coming from a place of hate. This is coming from a place of white momdom. And we all got to figure that out on our own.
We all got to figure it out.
All right, let's jump into some of this research. And I want to start off by saying light-skinned people are sensitive is not an easy thing to research. Do you know what I mean? Like,
no.
That's not something you just type into Google and suddenly it comes back with all of these clear explanations of where this thing comes from. But I did find an NYU study that suggests that skin color does affect sensitivity to heat and mechanical stimuli, meaning like physical contact.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Apparently, darker skinned people are more strong as it relates to physical like contact and heat, that like you physically don't necessarily feel the same reactions that I guess are your lighter skinned counterparts tend to feel.
Damn.
Yeah,
wow.
No,
I'm like shook.
It didn't make me feel good because there's this old, and I've talked about this on a few episodes. There's this old dude who basically invented gynecology, but he also did it by testing all of his experiments on slaves. That like he basically would like steal slave women and run crazy experiments on them. And he did it under the premise that black people couldn't feel pain. That like physically their bodies were built in a way that like they didn't have the same pain receptors that white people have. And this isn't proof of any of that. I want to be clear. This isn't.
Yeah, I was like, it's some eugenic shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
But that said, it does sound like on a very minor level, there are different reactions that happen with darker skin versus lighter skin.
That's, man, my wife is like a sunblock Nazi. Like, just put on sunblock. She lathers our children with it. And part of me is like, as a sign of my protest, won't put it on.
Oh, you're anti.
And I know that's ridiculous because we're talking about UV rays.
Yeah.
But I'm like, God gave me sunblock.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? But but my children do have a sun sensitivity. Like, they actually honestly, like, they need the sunblock. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get darker. I've never peeled, you know what I'm saying? But like, they get like, my oldest daughter gets a rash if she's in the sun too much. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, should have more melanin. Sorry.
And that's the thing is that you technically are right. God did give you a type of sunblock. In fact, the study looked at dopamine in the skin of rodents. They basically were like manipulating the skin and tones of rodents. And the dopamine creates this molecule produced by skin called melanocytes. I don't know how to pronounce stuff. I'm not a scientist. I'm just a nigga with Google. But these cells determine skin color, and they found that as they manipulated the dopamine, it increased expression of a type of a molecule that basically is responsible for protection against heat, and it increased a type of molecule that's responsible for protecting you against physical contact. So darker meant that you got basically stronger against this shit, and then lighter meant that you got weaker against this shit. So when you say that light-skinned people are more sensitive, you're actually technically correct in that sense.
I will take it. I'll take it. Thank you very much.
Here's where I'll push back against you. Here's the part where I get excited, because I would argue that light-skinned people, given the fact that we've continued to live in the exact same environments as our darker counterparts and lived amongst the same communities, I would argue we're in fact stronger and less sensitive because of our willingness to keep fighting through the pain that we're constantly suffering in the exact same environment. Talk to me. Tell me why I'm right.
Oh, okay. Whoa, that's a great way to phrase that. I'm a little shook right now because there is, again, I'm divided here. There's the little me and there's the adult me. You know what I'm saying? So like the little me is going, whatever, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like in the fact that like, yeah, we roast y'all mercilessly and you do still show up every day.
That's it.
But you be crying and shit.
Yeah.
But then again, let me not front like as soon as I turned the corner on Avalon, I did not break into tears after
and that's
being roasted too. You know what I'm saying? I just was able to hold it longer. You know
it just truly is the difference in the way you handle the shit, but we're still coming back together as a community, and that's the key.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I even think like, I'm like, I just want you to admit you one of us. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I think that like one could argue our bucking against everything that is light skinned may have to do with our insecurity in ourselves. But don't tell nobody I said that. But that's probably what's going on there.
Sure.
So you are absolutely correct.
All right. I like this. I like where we're heading. Let's go a little further down this train because in order to find more information about this, I had to sort of rephrase the way that we're dealing in this. And colorism obviously is
that's the answer.
More of the ubiquitous term that we connect to light skin, dark skin, all these other things. And it turns out that the word colorism is not as old as we would think it is. In fact, the original sort of conception of colorism doesn't come about until 1983 as a term. Like it's brand new in the scheme of the world. Before then, there were other words that we used to kind of define it, but it went sort of nebulous in the way that we talked about colorism before 1983.
Okay.
So with that, one of the things that I sort of found is that and this is a lot of people making arguments in articles, they're much smarter people than I am, but they made arguments that the reason that colorism went undefined for so long is an intentional effort on the part of white America. That like, if they can sow imbalance, hatred, all the things that sort of exist in the Black community without us figuring out how to explain it, then the infighting remains, but we never learn to get past it, right? Yeah. Until you can put a word to it, you can't defeat the thing that's taking you down.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Dang. Yeah, that's 1983. Because I think about like, our Constitution only recognized 2 races until the 60s.
Yep.
You know, so like there's that idea of like, you know, you have people like, there was this case in San Antonio where this Latino dude, this Mexican dude, like, killed this other Mexican dude. And when he was on trial, obviously he was found guilty, but his lawyer appealed saying he was supposed to get a jury of his peers. And he was like, it's all white people here. And they were like, well, see, here's the thing. According to the Constitution, you white too. So, you know what I'm saying? And they were like, this is ridiculous.
These are people. Look.
Yeah, what are you talking about? Like, this is white people. And he's like, you know how ridiculous this is. So like, so having to build into the Constitution more than just 2 races, this is the 60s. So now it don't surprise me that it wasn't until the 80s that the idea of colorism existed. And then and to our shame, how so good at it we got.
Right. And that's part of the problem, right? Is that it's not that colorism doesn't exist. It's that literally the word doesn't exist, that they won't help us put a label on it because they want the fighting to continue without the logic that makes it reasonable. Much in the way that this dude who's sitting on trial is sitting there saying like, I am not the same. I'm not the same as what you would consider your opposition, but I'm certainly not the same as y'all. And I don't just pick sides simply because you've picked sides for yourselves.
Yeah. And y'all know that.
And you know that. And you won't tell people that because it's easier to keep them mad at each other than it is to help them figure this shit out.
Yeah. Facts.
And so one of the things that I ended up finding is that when it comes to looking up light-skinned stuff in research, there's a lot of articles of people being like, this was my experience as a kid and my struggle being a mixed person. And it, to your point about motherfuckers being in their feelings and sort of like light skinned behavior, every article just reads like somebody being like, I wasn't black enough and nobody loved me, and that's why I am who I am today. It's like, yo, you gotta relax, bro. This
working
is
out
not
your trauma
off well.
No, working out your trauma on paper, like, yeah, it never plays well because, like you said, you haven't really. That's why I try to lead out the box saying, okay, listen, okay,
yeah,
I'm working out my issues, all right.
I gotta unpack some shit.
Yeah. Now that said, you know what I'm saying? Yes.
And so with that, one of the things that I think is one of the bigger mistakes that these articles tend to do is that they often do try to basically say that even if I'm light skinned, I am still black, and therefore I am still a victim and experiencer of all of the things that make being black in America difficult. Yeah. And while that is true, light skinned people do suffer at the hands of whatever American bullshit is, it ain't the same. Do you know what I mean? It ain't. Yeah. This ain't exactly equal in terms of the way that police handle me versus the way that they would handle you or any of that shit. Like, and to not acknowledge that or skip past that seems pretty wild.
That is all I ever wanted to hear from light-skinned people.
Oh, hell yeah. I did it.
It's just, listen, man, I recognize there is a difference.
Yeah, there's a difference.
I appreciate that because it was more like you'd get the side eye from the light skinned dude. That's just like when the heat got bad, you could just move to the other table, and I'd just be like, "Nigga, you just word." And it's like, "What?" And he's like, "You know what you doing, man?" Like,
well, that's the thing. It's not even that I have to move to the other table. I'll sit there and watch them beat you first because they ain't gonna be mad at me the same way they're gonna be mad at you.
You know what I'm saying? You got that pretty caramel skin. We ain't trying to mess that up. You know what I'm saying? Them light green eyes. You feel?
Yeah, they're gonna yell at me, but they ain't gonna hit me. You guys, they hit.
That's different. Us is different. Yeah.
Now, obviously, we can't make that joke without also talking about where that comes from, right? Totally. So much of this is rooted in the historical context of slaves, of slavery, and the idea that lighter skinned slaves were very often descendants of the people that were fucking their owners and shit.
Yes, totally.
And so with that, they also were treated often with a sense of care and preference that wasn't afforded to their darker skinned counterparts. That's where the house slaves come from. That's where, you know, all the conversations about sort of like light skinned behavior, I think, are first found.
Absolutely. You know, and then if you can, in your mind's eye, like pull the camera out a little higher to be like, they're victims of rape, man. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are products of rape, and how I'm mad at them for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you could get the camera out, you know what I'm saying? But not while you in the thick of the shit, like you can't get the camera out, you know? So you're just like, all I see is you treated better. And like, somehow you build this resentment, like you act like you deserve this shit. Like, you act like you deserve to be treated better. You know what I'm saying? Then, so we out in the field, like, this motherfucker over here. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you, that's interesting. You just build that resentment, but again, you get far enough, you get enough space from it where you just like, this fool's just trying to survive, man. Like, he can't help. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You can't help what happened to you. You know what I'm saying? And like, or what happened to your mama, you know what I'm saying? You can't help that, you know? So, I mean, wouldn't you, if you could move into the house, wouldn't you move into the house?
And that's the hard part, right? Yeah. Is that we're all just handing down trauma. We're all handing down different experiences, and we can't dismiss those traumas, but we also shouldn't be equating those traumas. Like, I think that trauma is, it by its very definition, personal. It's something that is truly only happening in you, in your spirit, in your experience. And sometimes we can identify shared traumas, but that doesn't mean that everybody gets to just be in this shared trauma together. And to that, one of the larger conclusions that I found myself thinking is like, man, we kind of fucked up by wanting to make everybody the same. And that's a very American thing to be like, you're all black. even though none of you even look alike. You're all kind of the same thing, and you'll just unpack your trauma together, when the reality is, to your point, my shit comes from a type of colonization and rape. Your shit comes from a different kind of colonization and rape. We shouldn't be talking about them together. We kind of need to go to a separate therapist and then come back together as separate peoples.
Healed. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Healed and being able to like speak freely. Yeah. That's good, man. Yeah.
And plenty of other countries have sort of like in some way started to at least acknowledge that there is a separation between these communities, right? Like you look at South Africa, where like they do have now 3 distinctions at least of like the way that they break down race, that it's the white people, it's the colored people, and then there's like the black people,
the indigenous.
And while that is super fucked up in terms of the way that like resources are disseminated, it is at least more honest in terms of like the cultural experience that these people are coming from.
Yeah, that's crazy how like we could look across the country too in apartheid and be like, well, they figured out something we could use. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, woo, we got a lot to go. You know what I'm saying?
Damn, their lives suck, but man, they did the math better than we did.
At least they're a little better at math. Yeah. Sheesh.
It does make me feel ultimately though that if white people didn't act like such dickheads, we might not even want to see ourselves as the same race, right? That like we might find ourselves going like, and in a beautiful way, not in a way that's like us going like, yo, get me the fuck away from these people, but more just be me being like, his experience is not my experience. It couldn't possibly be, and that's okay. And I can celebrate that experience much in the way that you talk about celebrating your wife's experience, even though it was different than your own.
Man, that's super profound. Because it's like, we would have a different understanding of the diaspora and like the just pan-ethnic terms that like ultimately, like you said, they really only serve whiteness.
Yep.
By like even us using these words, it only serves that, you know. So it's interesting to be like, if we would just reject them and just be like, no, we're vastly different from each other. We have a shared suffering, but we're also vastly very different. And I could celebrate, you know, this experience much different than, and you wouldn't have to feel like you have to compensate. I remember I was dating a Belizean girl and for a long time, and we kept running up against this often, you know what I'm saying? Of like, I thought I was like, I wanted to honor her Afro-Caribbean, like, history, you know what I'm saying? But she was very adamant of being like, but you know I'm black.
Right.
And I'm like, but you're not black like I am.
Right.
You know, and it was like, but it was honestly like a point of tension that like, I just, we didn't have the language for it at the time.
And
you know
because she's reading "You're not black like I am" as a slight against her. You somehow diminishing her blackness. When in fact, you're just saying like, yo, you didn't experience the same version of blackness that I did.
Exactly.
And that doesn't make you any less black. It just means like different flavors. You know what I mean? Like different styles about this shit.
Absolutely. Because in my mind, I was like, I think it's dope. You know what I'm saying? I think that's dope. You know what I'm saying? Like I just did it. But I didn't know how to be like you said, I didn't know how to articulate and just say, no, it's another expression of blackness. Dang, that's, man, you know, you own to something.
And see, that's my ultimate goal. If I can figure out a way to make motherfuckers treat squinting and getting in your feelings as cultural, now we are moving forward as a society. Thank you so much, propaganda. Thank you for inspiring me.
I am not ready for that hill. I'm still ascending this hill. Brother Langston, I'm not there yet. I might not get there. You know what I'm saying? But no, that is a good wraparound to me having to accept the pretty boy, light skin, sensitive.
That's culture, baby.
It's culture.
You can't be mad at culture.
I can't be mad at culture. You had to do what you had to do to survive.
All right, we're going to take another break. We'll be back with more propaganda and more My Mama Told Me. And we are back.
Can you lend a nigga a pencil?
Yeah, we're back here with more propaganda. More My Mama Told Me. That was a fun one. I was really surprised when I think I thought of that. I'm pretty sure that was the one that I thought of. I don't want to give credit to anybody else for that one. Anyway, we're still talking about light-skinned people and their light-skinned behavior and their squinty eyes and their sensitive feelings. I want us to play a game. Let's dig into a game if you're down.
I'm down.
Hell yeah. This is a fun game. It's one of our most classic games, which you personally requested. It's a game called
Homemade Hotep.
Homemade Hotep. So the way that this game works, I'm going to introduce to you a real fact out in the world, a fact that is 100% true. And what I would love for you to do is Hotep the shit out of it. Just add as much Hotep and conspiratorial, Afrocentric, Pan-African bullshit to it to make it as Hotep-y as possible.
Let's go.
Hell yeah. So this is an interesting fact. Apparently, Uncle Ben's rice was airdropped to World War II troops during the war. At the time, they basically figured out that Uncle Ben's rice, they had put some chemical in it that kept it from getting infested with bugs and eaten by rodents and shit. And so they would drop it over the troops during World War II. Why, propaganda, do you think that is?
Well, because so you dropped the Uncle Ben's with the chemical things because, it was a sign that they had been experimenting with black men for years. And what you learn is that we are just resilient. So when you bring that to the war, it did two things. It reminded these white soldiers that you still being fed by the slaves, right? So it make them remind them of like the America that they miss. You know what I'm saying? And then for the brothers, it reminds you that like can't nobody kill you, no matter what you doing. Can't nobody kill you, So when you put the two together, because you had the brothers out in the front line and they needed something that reminded them of like, look here, you know what I'm saying? You resilient. I know back home this how they treat you, but I want you to know, man, it's your homemade chitlins that get you through this. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? We make treasure out of trash. You understand what I'm saying? Treasure out of trash. That's what we do. So when you on there, you know what I'm saying? You stay in your fight. You stay in your game. You let them crackers think that they taking care of us. You understand what I'm saying? But the truth is we take care of them.
Right.
We take care of them.
There it is. There it is. Dropping that knowledge. Hold up.
Call motherfucking bars, nigga. You know nothing about that.
There it is. What a perfect response to Homemade Hotep. I love it. You killed it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for being
pleasure.
Here. Could you tell the people at home where they can find you, what cool stuff you have going on?
Yeah, so prophiphop.com, and Prop Hip Hop is also my socials. I just put out a poetry book, so that's available there. I'm totally into coffee. You can get that there. That's what I basically tweet and post about is coffee, poetry, and the Lakers.
Oh, man. One of those is sad right now, but go ahead.
Please don't remind me. Please don't remind me. I was like... I was almost through my TV. So that the Hood Politics Pod is cracking where it's like, again, just taking a lens from us who, kind of grew up either in gangbanging life or around gangbanging life to just kind of help us navigate the political landscape and just kind of get your brain around what may be happening in our world. So that's the Hood Politics Pod or Hood Politics on your feed. But yeah, Prop Hip Hop, that's the way to get to everything.
Hell yeah. Go to Prop Hip Hop and check out all his stuff. And as always, you can follow me at Langston Kerman. And please, if you have drops, if you have theories that you would like to send, you can send them to mymommapod@gmail.com. Yeah, that's it. We did it. Bye, bitch.